Hello, 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 and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to Take 2, because Take 1 of this live stream went horrific. So I'm really hoping the audio and the visuals of this live stream come out a lot clearer. But big news coming on the Benjamin Sesko, not just the ORNSTEIN bomber, but the news that has followed this ORNSTEIN bomber. So we're going to just take you back to the beginning. We're going to take you back to everything you need to know. We're going to get into the news so you are up to date with Benjamin Sesko. I'll then give my thoughts on the deal, if I think this is a good signing or not, and all of that in a second on Sesko. We'll talk about United. What does this mean for Højlund? What does this mean for midfielders? But of course, Sesko, it's not done yet. The player wants Manchester United. United have decided Sesko's the striker they're going to pursue. We're in this situation with Mbeumo, a couple of weeks back. A couple of weeks back, 2 months back, and it took 7 weeks to get him in the door. So it could take another month to get Sesko in the door. But look, we've got the ORNSTEIN bomber. Manchester United are looking to sign Sesko. They've had a secret meeting. They've made some advancements on a deal to sign Benjamin Sesko. The final talks are beginning. United have chosen Sesko over Watkins. Sesko prefers Manchester United. But Newcastle are not out of the race just yet. Things can happen. Newcastle in a stronger financial position, especially if they sell Alexander Isak. But we are Sesko's choice. Sesko is our choice. Meetings have taken place. Things are advancing, and we've picked Sesko over Watkins. And it looks like Sesko to Manchester United is happening. Gaz says we're not lagging at this time. So good news there that we're not lagging. But a lot of people saying it's a lot better now. Quality's a lot better. Okay, that is good. That is good. Do keep me up to date on all of that. I don't know if you guys were in the first stream, but the first stream was an absolute nightmare. As Alex said, if it's a bit cheaper is one thing, but seems Watkins quite costly as well. Villa don't want to sell Watkins. Could be costly. So let's get into the Benjamin Sesko news, because it looks like Benjamin Sesko to Man United is happening. We were not sure who our striker signing was going to be. 1 minute we thought it was going to be Jackson. 1 minute we thought it was going to be Delap. Another minute we thought it was going to be Gyökeres. Then we knew it was going to be between one of Sesko and Watkins. But there is questions over, okay, how financially able are United to do this deal? This has been the questions around it. But the decision has been made, and it looks like Sesko to Manchester United is happening. So let's get into the David Ornstein bomber. But not just the David Ornstein bomber, but a lot of other news. Dream quality's gone from Højlund to Sesko. From Ineos Wi-Fi to Qatar Wi-Fi. Do you know, it wasn't even the Wi-Fi. I didn't even restart the router. I think with my laptop having about 100 tabs open and I hadn't restarted it for a few days, I think my laptop was just in like F Alice mode. So I just restarted the laptop, to be honest, in the end as well. But look, I'm going to give you my thoughts on Sesko, Watkins, my opinion on it, but on Højlund as well, his future now. We're going to talk about all of that, but we've got to get into the ORNSTEIN bomber. We've got to get into the news, because I've been keeping you guys waiting for a while with the technical difficulties. But yeah, feel free to hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe. Manchester United breaking news, prioritising Benjamin Sesko if a striker is signed this summer. Now, the big thing Ornstein mentions, because he doesn't want to lose his credibility, is if a striker is signed this summer. Now, does that mean much? No, because Fabrizio Romano has come out and said Manchester United are absolutely signing a striker this summer. Romano's basically said Man United 100% signing a striker this summer. And Ornstein is saying that United are prioritising Benjamin Sesko if a striker is signed this summer. So, potato, whatever. The 22-year-old is now Manchester United's preferred option. Informal contact was made with RB Leipzig, and the Slovenia international also remains a top target for Newcastle United as their pursuit continues. But what we do know from Ornstein is that Manchester United are now going for Sesko over Watkins. And you may ask, Alice, what is so relevant about this? Well, this follows Ben Jacobs' bomber. That United have now in official talks with Benjamin Sesko. They sent a secret team to Germany to have a secret meeting. Vivel was the driving force. Amorim wanted Watkins. Vivel is pushed for Sesko. United are hoping the price drops. Newcastle is still in the race. They're not out of the race. But something that was interestingly mentioned from a good source in Jan. Now, Jan was the first guy to confirm that Sancho had agreed personal terms with United, and then Romano confirmed that. This was years ago. When we had the Sancho stuff going on years ago, This guy would say something and Romano would then confirm it an hour later or so. You've got Jan saying that Benjamin Sesko wants to join United. You've got really credible Leipzig sources coming out saying Sesko wants to choose United. Manchester United and Newcastle United are both in for Sesko. Sesko prefers Manchester United, but Sesko hasn't said no to Newcastle United yet because he knows that financially Manchester United might take a while to do this deal. Things could be difficult. We want Sesko, Sesko wants us, a little bit like the Mbuma situation, but it took 7 weeks to do. So he's not turned down Newcastle yet, just in case. But it looks like this deal is happening, people. It looks like things are advancing, but it's not done yet. There's no official agreement yet, but we've got the ORNSTEIN BOMBA. We are going for Sesko over Watkins. Manchester United have chosen our man. He's our striker. He's the guy we want. Benjamin Sesko. So I want to talk about this. I want to talk about a few things. I feel like this is a situation where either A, we can't do the deal financially and he ends up going to Newcastle, or B, we wrap up some personal terms with him and the deal will be done in a week. Probably still take weeks because it's Man United. But it's a situation where A, financially, he just goes to Newcastle. We can't afford him financially, or it's happening. It gets done. So, an interesting thing that I want to bring up that United faithfuls mentioned was David Ornstein said last week that United do not intend to advance on any signings for any player unless the player has a desire to join the club. So that's confirmation Sesko wants to come in itself. The fact that Sesko is now the preferred option, plus informal contact made with Leipzig, means there's been some sort of green light in the camp. Looks like Benjamin Sesko then. It looks like Benjamin Sesko. Thank you for the super chat, Nick. I suspect we're getting Sesko for 3 reasons. 1, he's impressed with the fact that we wanted him for 3 years. 2, we're one of the clubs who get him for the gentleman's agreement fee. And 3, Christopher Vivel. I agree. I think Sesko knows that United have been following him longer than I think any other Premier League club has. We have interest there. The Vivel links, I think the gentleman's agreement, and I think the fact that while Newcastle in the Champions League, we are still Manchester United. We are Manchester United. We got Cunha, we got Mbeumo over Newcastle because Man United, believe it or not, and even I don't know why sometimes. But watching us play last season, I honestly think, who wants to play for us? Watching the stuff that's written about us, who wants to play for us? But we have that pull. We absolutely have that pull. And look, if we sign Sesko and he plays against Arsenal on the opening day, I want Sesko to score the winner and just do this. I'm sorry. I don't think anything would be better than Sesko scoring the winner and rocking out the Gyökeres. I think it's more like that, isn't it? Imagine Benjamin Sesko, 90th minute versus Arsenal. Oh, that would be jokes. Well, look, we haven't signed him yet. It looks like we're going to sign him. Looks like it's on. But let's discuss all the news, all the possibilities, and everything going on as well. But I'm glad that the stream quality is better for this stream. Manchester United are advancing with a potential move for Sesko. Apparently, it's not Sesko, it's Sesko? Sesko? That is a mouthful. Benjamin Sesko. So I do apologise, actually. I do know that. Sesko. I don't even know if I'm saying that right as well. The Gyökeres celebration is cringe. It has become Do you know why it's cringe? I don't know if you saw the AFTV video. But I think that's just what made it cringe. Like, that video when they signed Gyökeres. It's like Sesko. It's a bit of a mouthful. Benjamin Sesko. Yeah. Alice, we've got to pretend when we were saying that Gyökeres would be better for Arsenal than Sesko, we've now got to pretend that Sesko's better. We have got to. But yeah, Benjamin Sesko. I've seen people call him Benjamin Sesko. But United are now advancing on a deal for Sesko. Now, this has all come out now. But remember, Romano said this a couple hours ago. This is what Romano said this morning, and it seems to have been some big advancements since. So this came out before the ORNSTEIN BOMBA. Man United had direct contact with RB Leipzig in the last 48 hours to start concrete conversations about Sesko deal. Details with suggestions on a meeting taking place face-to-face in the past few days. So, again, we've known since this morning, okay, there has been some big advancements in Sesko to Manchester United. We now know that we've chosen Sesko over Watkins. Were we using Watkins to get the Sesko fee down? Could we be doing that? This is where it gets interesting because this is a Newcastle source. Now, Newcastle sources get briefed by Newcastle, not Man United. So they won't put anything positive out about Manchester United. You know what I mean? Craig Hope from Newcastle's base source has said, Newcastle are continuing to pursue deals for Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko. The feeling inside the club is that Sesko's likely to go to Manchester United, which would be huge frustration given how keen Newcastle are on the Slovenian. Do you know what? I would have picked Watkins over Sesko, but then when we were hearing 60 million for Watkins, I was like, if Sesko and Watkins are both 60 million, you go for Sesko. Sesko, sorry. If Sesko and Watkins are both 60 million, you go for Sesko, because Watkins has got no resale value. If Sesko and Watkins is 45 and 60 million, I would have gone for Watkins. Do you know what I mean? But with Watkins' price, I'm happy with Sesko. It's a risk. It's a risk, Sesko. It's a risk. He's raw. There's elements of his game that need to improve. He's not going to come in and score 20 goals. I don't think he's going to come in and score 20 goals, but he will be an improvement on Højlund, and he will be a striker presence that we need. Now, obviously, we're working on this deal, and Newcastle have a feeling he's going to go to Manchester United. Newcastle now putting out they think he's going to go to Manchester United. It's crazy, man. First of all, I feel for Eddie Howe. I feel for Eddie Howe big time. Okay? Someone said cite your sources. What? I mean, if you mean cite your sources, and with the awful grammar and the wrong use of source and the wrong use of cite, it is on the screen there. But anyway, continuing on. You got a feel for Eddie Howe. So Newcastle's first target was Cunha. That was the first guy they were linked to in May. He chose Man United over Newcastle. Big Man United fan. They then were in, they were in with us for Delap. Delap chose Chelsea over Man United and Newcastle. They then went in for Mbumo. He chose Manchester United. They then went in for João Pedro. He chose Chelsea. So they'd already at the start of the window lost 2 players to United and 2 players to Chelsea. They've been working on a deal for James Trafford. He's gone to Manchester City. Mark Gay is the first choice centre-back. He wants Liverpool. Anyway, it looks like they're about to do a madness. Ekitike and Isak. Ekitike's gone to Liverpool, but it's fine. They're going to keep Isak then. That's fine. Isak wants to go. Cool. Ekitike's gone. João Pedro's gone. They go for Sesko. Sesko wants Manchester United. They also looked at Dean Huijsen, but he was always going to go to Madrid. Oh, that is the biggest window of L's. Which I thought Newcastle were going to have a great window with Champions League football. I thought Newcastle were going to do something big this summer, and they still can. But you've got to feel for Eddie Howe. Will I take Nicholas Jackson? 40 million, yeah. 40 million, I'd take him. Not 80 million. Nicholas Jackson would be a good signing for Newcastle United. Nicholas Jackson would be a much better signing for Newcastle United than you think. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, we're going to get into some other updates, some other news in regards to Sesko. I can't say Sesko. You have to feel for Eddie Howe. You have to feel for Eddie Howe. But yeah, let's continue on into Sesko news. So this is reports coming out of Germany. United, they have confirmed that United have indeed held concrete talks with Benjamin Sesko's camp during the RB Leipzig training camp. Benjamin Sesko during the RB Leipzig training camp. There is and always the feeling that Sesko would choose Manchester United over his other options. So we've had good sources on the English side, good sources on the Man United side, good sources on the Newcastle side, and good sources on the Leipzig side, all saying this in regards to Sesko, that he wants Manchester United. We've just got an update coming in from Sully. As we speak, more breaking updates coming out on Benjamin Sesko. Looks like United have chosen their man. Sesko is the man that Manchester United want. They've gone, you know what, he's our man. He's the guy we want. Nick says Watkins was never going to be 45 million. Sure, Villa need money, but 3 years left on the contract gave them huge leverage. Hence, Villa asking for 60. Yeah. If Watkins is 45 million, you go for Watkins. But if Watkins is 60 million, I guess value for money with Sesko's age, it makes more sense to go for Sesko. But in regards to another update on Sesko, we've got that Manchester United have told Benjamin Sesko to push for a move from his side with advancements in talks in the last few days. Christopher Vivell and Jason Wilcox are in mutual agreement internally regarding Sesko being a number one target. So interestingly, Vivell's going to be working on this deal. The good thing about Vivell working on this deal is that he obviously has worked at the RB club, so he knows everyone we're negotiating with. That's the mad thing, and people forget this. Vivell worked in the RB system, so he knows exactly how RB Leipzig are going to negotiate. He'll know all of their tactics. He knows all the insides and outs, so they can't leverage much over us. And he'll know if Benjamin Sesko starts pushing for this move to Manchester United, we can get the fee down. There's a reported agreement that he can go to United for 60 million if we're one of the clubs in his contract, which would allow him to leave for 60 million. There's a reported talk that we're one of the clubs that could let him go for 60 million pounds. He can push for the move. And him pushing for the move might not get the price down much, but it might help United do a deal over 4 or 5 years. Because this, for me, I didn't think we could afford Sesko. I thought after Mbeumo, particularly having to overpay on Mbeumo, I just assumed we have to sell to bring in Sesko. The feeling is that actually we could do this deal if it's over the right amount of years and right instalments. Now, of course, obviously sales have taken place. Marcus Rashford has saved a lot on the wage bill. We've got money from the Elanga and Alvaro's. But I've always had a question, can we afford it? And that's why I'm still not ruling Newcastle out. Like, I'm personally not ruling Newcastle out of this because I still think it's a situation where can we fully afford to do this now? We'll have to wait and see. I think the fact that we're in for him and we're advancing for him suggests we have money. But it might be a case where Newcastle can get Sesko and they can get him now. And we can get Sesko, but we can tell him to wait a few weeks while we make a sale. And then that doesn't give him a guarantee of a move, but it's like, okay, the move should happen. I just wonder if it's one of those scenarios. I wonder if we're going to advance something soon and make a bid, or it's we wait for a sale, then we make our move. That's the only stance I have. Send Rasmus back on loan. Do you know what? Rasmus would do well in the Bundesliga. Send Højlund back on loan, but he's not really how RB Leipzig would use their striker. That's the only question as well. He's coming for the heritage. Vivell was in the RB systems for years at various levels. He knows the RB systems. He'll know exactly how they operate. He'll know how to get at them as well. So I think, look, I'm going to talk about Sesko. I'm going to talk about everything. Look, Sesko for 60 million, I think is a good fee when you look at the striker market. I think he's a good player. I think he's got bags of potential. I think Sesko would have been a really good signing for an Arsenal, for a Liverpool. I do have concerns. I like Sesko. I'm happy if we sign him. Good player, good youngster, could be the next Zlatan. Insane ceiling. I do have concerns because of how young and raw he is and doing it at Manchester United. He's not going to come in and score 20 goals for us next season. And I feel like if we didn't sign Mbeumo and Cunha, we'd need someone to come in and score 20 goals. Because we signed Mbeumo and Cunha and that should take the pressure off him, we don't necessarily need a 20-goal striker, whereas Watkins is more likely to be a 20-goal striker. But I guess with Watkins, he's a really good player for the next 1 or 2 seasons. Has really good attributes, really good running. But we're not going to make any profit on Watkins. In 3 years, it's done. With Sesko, it's a young player, it's a project player. And if you look at Liverpool and how they rebuilt and Arsenal and how they rebuilt, they didn't get 30-year-olds. They got these kind of players. So I guess you can look at it from that sense. I think Watkins is the safer bet. I think Watkins next season would have had a better year for us. But that doesn't take anything away from Sesko. Just because I've said that Watkins is safer doesn't mean I don't rate Sesko. I like Sesko. Elements of his game is raw, but there's an incredibly talented player there that could be the next Zlatan Ibrahimovic type player. You never know. Like, there's definitely a good player there. There's a reason Arsenal look to him. There's a reason Newcastle are looking at him. There's a reason a lot of top clubs are looking at Benjamin Sesko. Yeah. I'm not against Sesko, especially with the experience of Mbeumo Cunha. Yeah. If we didn't sign Mbeumo and Cunha, I wouldn't be the biggest fan of this signing because of the lack of service and stuff. But because of Mbeumo and Cunha and them being proven goal scorers, I think it makes more sense. I think if we were a really proven side and already had one good experienced striker, this is the perfect signing. Because I think his potential is ridiculous, Sesko. But I think because we're such a raw team, that's my only worry. Because we're such a raw team, my only worry is, because he's got a lot of attributes that aren't quite ready yet, that Ruben Amorim might want, will fans be patient with him? Will they give him time to adapt? Look, I think he could become a 20-goal striker, and I think the way Amorim will use it will be more attacking than how Leipzig use him. But I think you've got to be patient. I think you've got to be patient with Sesko if he comes in. That's what I'm going to say. I'm just going to take a sip of water and get into some more news. The other thing with Watkins, I think, Watkins comes in, and I think Watkins would be an instant hit. Whereas I don't know if Sesko would be an instant hit, but I think he would be a great player. But let's say Sesko comes in, and after 3 seasons, let's say he's all right, gets 19 goals. At least you can sell him for 40 million, and by then, his book value will be down. There'll still be some value in him. Whereas with Watkins, in 3 years' time, he'll be 33. You're not going to get any money for him. He will be on high wages. We're not going to get any resale value from him. So maybe that's something that United are considering. Like, for me, I like Sesko. Don't get me wrong. I like Sesko. I rate Sesko. I am just because of Højlund, and I'm not saying that Sesko's going to end up like Højlund. He's better than Højlund. And when we signed Højlund, he just played 1 season in Italy and got 9 goals. Sesko's had 2 full seasons in Germany. He's had a bit more time in Germany. So Sesko is better than Højlund. Don't get me wrong. And I like Sesko. But I think Højlund coming into United as this bright young talent, and now coming out at United as this guy that's just a shell, it does scare me a little bit with Sesko. Having watched him play, seeing that his touch is not always the best, his hold-up play isn't as good as other strikers, I do have areas of concern. Now, I'm not saying that Watkins is perfect. I think Watkins is a fantastic player, but I think Watkins is less of a risk for this season, and I think we do need a proven striker now, with the current options that we have. But I also think that Sesko, if we're looking at an Mbumo and his crossing and Sesko's heading ability, that works well. If we're looking at Sesko's athletic ability, his resale value, his potential, how he could be the next Ibra, Sesko could be the next thing. Like, the thing is, like, there's a risk he could have a bit of a Højlund type bit spell, or this could be the best 60, 70 million we spent, and we could have Arsenal fans this time next year saying, oh, I wish we'd gone for Sesko over Gyökeres. Like, imagine that. It's crazy to think that Sesko was Arteta's dream player and Gyökeres was Amrin's dream player, and they could be doing vice versa. But don't get me wrong, I like the player. I think it's a good player. I rate the player. Don't get me wrong, I do. I really like the player. But there is, concerns around how ready is he? How much can he impact us now? And I think we're right to have that concerns. So yeah, continuing on. Someone made a point here as well. Ricky said this: you don't send a delegation unless you're looking to hash it out there and then. Also, first game of the season will be good. Sesko versus Arsenal, Gyökeres against United. That's crazy. Sesko, when he scores the winning goal versus Arsenal and does this celebration in front of Gyökeres, I mean, that's gonna be what we want to see. But you're right. I do think the fact that we sent a secret meeting over to Germany, we've then decided Sesko's who we want. Sesko's then decided United is his preference over Newcastle, but he's not said no to Newcastle yet. And Newcastle are now looking at alternatives. It says to me, you don't do that unless you're looking to get this deal done. Now, there's a suggestion that United can't get a deal done until sales happen, but United are now working on a deal. Are United doing that thing that they do every summer, but this year actually believed it, where they play broke, they play we've got no money, but actually we do. Every summer we play broke, we put out that we've got no money, we put out that we're broke, and I've said every summer this is just a tactic. We have got money, but I always felt this year that we actually are broke with Ineos coming in, with the amount of people we let go, with the amount of money we spent last year. Maybe we're not broke. Maybe we have the funds to do this, but we put out that we don't, because actually it does put us in a better negotiating position. But we're now getting confirmation that Sesko wants Manchester United. There was talk that we wouldn't go for Sesko unless we sold anyone. We now look like we're making a move for Sesko regardless of sales. Maybe United have money. Maybe United have seen that £60 million he could potentially go for in this striker market isn't bad business. It's not bad business at all. I think he's a 50 million player, but he's got a lot of potential, which takes him to 70 million. But I still think it's a lot. Watkins will be better next season, but for the next 10 years, Sesko. The one thing I look at, and I saw a clip of Liège saying the same thing, was if you look at Arsenal and you look at Liverpool's rebuild, Liverpool and Arsenal, when they rebuilt from having like 8th place seasons to getting back into that second, then starting to challenge spot, they didn't rebuild by signing 30-year-olds. They rebuilt by signing 23, 24-year-olds. And I think maybe that's what Ineos are looking at with someone like Sesko. Stop signing 30-year-olds, stop signing high-wage players to rebuild. Let's bring in some young players. And I feel like that's something that United are looking at. Hayden Hackney is set to be going to Ipswich for 15 million, but United like the player, and I think we could consider hijacking. As of now, I think after Sesko, we'd have to sell to get a midfielder. But we want a midfielder. We want Sesko, we want Lamens, and we want the centre mid, and we want to do that by the end of the window. I don't know if we're going to sign a centre mid, but that's what we want to do, and hopefully we do step up on that. Hayden Hackney was a 15 million bid from Ipswich today, but United, it'd be nice if they hijack the deal. I said I want them to hijack the deal. I just don't know. I just don't know, to be honest, what's going to go on with midfield. I think rather than signing a good midfielder like Baleba, I think we're going to sign an Amrabat, Sabitzer type midfielder that either comes in on loan or comes in on the cheap temporarily. I think that's what we're going to do in midfield, if I was going to be honest. Should hijack Hackney? Don't see funds for expensive centre mid. That's what I said. Look, Hackney, for me, there's 10 midfielders that would be better for us than Hayden Hackney. But when it comes to realistic, Hayden Hackney, £15 million. If he does flop, you could make a profit on it. It just makes sense how we've not, it doesn't make sense how we've not even looked more advanced than scouting him, thinking he's a good player, but we're not trying. He could be going to Ipswich, Hayden Hackney. But we should try hijack Hackney. We should try do a deal for Lemens, and we should get one of Sesko and Watkins wrapped up. And it looks like Sesko is who we're going for. The stance I get is that Vival wants Sesko, Amrin wants Watkins, but based on past experience, I think they're backing the transfer experts in Vival. So I'm so tired today. Do you think Sesko will be done? Yeah, I think you can't rule out Newcastle until Newcastle have been ruled out. But I think the fact that Newcastle sources are saying there's a strong possibility Sesko goes to United suggests that there's a feeling inside Man United that Sesko is going to be done. We have been linked to Donnarumma, but I don't know if there's much in it. We've also been linked to a few other players, like that young player at Wolves. Nelson Semedo was linked to us. Again, don't think there's anything in those links. Tottenham are looking at El Canuso. I think it's a better signing than he gets credit for online. Is Hackney better than Collier? On the ball, yes. Off the ball, no. Perfect midfielders Baleba, and I think we've all said that. Now, I don't want to make this stream too long, but there is also a report coming out that United are looking at Ortega. He's City's second keeper, so that could be one to watch. But again, unless Bayandi is sold, I don't think we're signing a keeper. Looks like we're signing a striker regardless of sales. We want that done. Again, midfield, I think it would need a few sales to do a deal for a midfielder. I think that while I want a Baleba, 50, 60 million pound midfielder, I think United might have to look at someone like Hayden Hackney that's 15 million pounds and say, can you do a job? Yep, you can. Good. Do you know what I mean? And if Hayden Hackney came to United and was crap, like Dan James, we could still sell him for a profit. So yeah. Anyway, listen, people, I'm falling asleep. I'm forgetting my words. I'm forgetting what I'm saying. So I'm going to wrap up the show here, but I think Still is a good player. Wharton's a good player. Don't think it's realistic, but we need a midfielder. We need a goalkeeper. We need a striker. Sesko's a good deal. Preference has always been Watkins just for experience, but Sesko's a good player. It's a good deal. There's been a secret delegation going on, and it looks like they're in the final stages. I'm just going to make sure nobody is live, because if somebody is live, we will do a cheeky redirect. See if anybody is live to redirect to, give them a raid, see how they're doing. As of now, basically nobody is live. But anyway, thank you for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye.